Hello, I'm Claire and welcome to my channel. So today's video is about the fragrance brand Czar. Really what excited me about this brand when I started reading about them was their collaborations with some very famous perfumers, and their latest collaboration is with Cecile Zarokian. So if you've not heard of Cecile Zarokian, you might actually recognise her name when I start to talk about some of her fragrances. So think of Amouage's Material, think of Jovoy's Remember Me, think of Marc Milano's Petra. I own Petra, I love Petra, so I was so excited when I heard about this brand and really the fragrances that they had on offer. So really this video is talking about 4 fragrances from this brand, and I'm going to tell you a bit more about Czar and just introduce the brand to you. So if you haven't seen me before, I'm Claire Smith. I make videos all about fragrance. I'm someone who loves to talk about perfume science, perfume history, perfume psychology. I also just do these straight perfume reviews, and also I make some fun perfume tags, and I also profile perfumers. So if that kind of thing interests you and you haven't already done so, then please do consider subscribing, and please also press the like button if this kind of video is the kind of thing that you enjoy. So Czar are a brand that were formed in Kuwait back in 2018, and they have had 31 fragrances on the market so far. And they've worked with a load of different perfumers. So in this video, I'm going to talk about their collaborations with Cecile Zarokian, Antoine Lie, and also Nathalie Feisthauer. So Czar market their fragrances in 2 different bottle sizes. They have 35ml fragrances, and they also have 110ml fragrances. And their 35ml bottle size starts at around £55. So Czar currently don't have distributors across the world. They just sell their fragrances from their own website. Also, this brand does not currently have a discovery set, and I'm just going to be straight up with you about that. You are going to struggle to try these fragrances other than if you buy sample cards from the brand. So they are planning to market a discovery set in the near future, but they haven't got there yet. So before I get into this, I'm just going to talk to you about the packaging of these fragrances. They come in these very standard looking white boxes. They have the perfumer's name up here along with the perfume name and the brand name down here. And the fragrance bottles themselves, I have the 35ml sizes. They look very minimalist, I guess is how I'd put it. And yeah, just a really nice presentation, but very, very simple, I guess. So the first fragrance is Peak, and this one is by Cecile Zarokian, and this was really the one that excited me the most from this collection, the one that I really desperately wanted to try. As soon as I received these fragrances, this is the one that I put on my skin first. So I was also excited by this one because it's been voted one of the best spring-summer fragrances of 2025, one of the new release best fragrances by Fragrantica editors. So if you know Cecile Zarokian fragrances, you will know that she quite often loves to use tonka, she loves to use vanillic resins like benzoin, and she also loves spices. She loves warm spices and she also loves cool spices. So what was this one like? Did it have those Cecile Zarokian kind of hallmarks to it? So this opens to me like a crystallized lemon and orange kind of smell. More lemon than orange. So it smells like you dipping some lemon zest in some sugar and you're ready to put it on a cake, perhaps with some buttercream. This does have a real intense sweetness to it. It does make me think of like a buttercream kind of frosting that's going on a cake. It makes me think of vanilla sponge cakes as well, but it's not as overtly cakey as that. It's more subtle than that. There are other things going on in this fragrance though. It's not an entirely kind of gourmand feeling fragrance at all, and it does have that feeling of elevation, and I think that's really given by the aldehydes in this fragrance. The aldehydes are critical to how this fragrance smells, and I think if you don't like aldehydes, you're probably going to really struggle with this fragrance. Having said that, the aldehydes here are not like a Chanel kind of fragrance. I always think of aldehydes in Chanel fragrances as smelling more golden. Here they smell more silvery. They've got a coolness to them, but they definitely smell a little bit liquid soapy here. I think here as well, there's a metallic feeling in this fragrance, and I'm not sure whether that's the aldehydes or perhaps a combination with the aldehydes and the ambergris in this fragrance. So the dry down of this is a sweet, powdery, resinous cloud, and it's still mixed with that kind of sponge cake-like feel, along with that kind of crystallized lemon zest. It's a really distinctively citrusy fragrance, but it also has that metallic feeling, silvery thread of the aldehydes running through the whole construction. And really, the beauty of this is that powdery playoff between the vanillic kind of fluffy feel and the aldehydes. This fragrance is incredibly strong, incredibly long lasting. It's something I generally wore about 2 or 3 sprays of. I didn't really feel like I needed too much more than that. It was something that lasted the whole day on my skin. And I found this one delicious in a non-gourmand way. It sounds really gourmand, but the aldehydes really temper this. It feels like a modern take on a vintage fragrance is how I'd think of this one. So yeah, it's a nice one. I'd recommend this, but I definitely don't think this is something that you should blind buy. I feel like this is a sample fragrance because of the aldehydes. So that's Peak by Cecile Zarokian for Czar. So the next fragrance is one by Antoine Lie. And Antoine Lie has worked for brands such as État Libre d'Orange and also Comme des Garçons. And I own one of his fragrances. I own Pharrell Williams' Girl, which I love. And I can see a few similarities with this fragrance. So this one's called Sword. And sword is meant to reflect the ascension to the throne of an Arabian prince. So this fragrance really surprised me. I thought I was going to prefer the Cecile Zarokian fragrance, but actually I really like this one. And I've been really surprised by how much I've enjoyed this fragrance. So this one is a violet leaf fragrance. It definitely has a greenness and it also has a powderiness. And I really like how gentle it is. I was expecting something called Sword to be quite strong and quite overpowering. And this is really quite a gentle fragrance overall, but it still is very present. It still lasts a long time. So Sword is kind of walking the very fine line between greenness, powderiness and a fougere. I think this fragrance is not a fougere, but it has elements of one. And I'm not someone who loves fougere fragrances, but this doesn't have any kind of scratchy musk. It's not, overtly herbal. It's something that just has a nice softness, but also a freshness to it without being harsh or soapy. So this opens quite freshly with a really nice gentle feeling green bergamot. It's then quickly quite sweet, and to me it's violet, at least initially. There's tarragon and orange blossom listed in this fragrance, and there's no way I would have picked out tarragon, but the orange blossom is very green, very natural, very well done. The dry down is a powdery violet leaf with a lovely warm woodiness and a soft, almost suede leather. It's really very gentle and powdery, but it has a slightly herbal aspect to it, but it's very, very mild, and it's something that just has a little bit of a freshness to it still. So yes, with a name like Sword, I was expecting something really strong and powerful, and this lasts ages, but it's just a really gentle, very soft feeling fragrance, and I think it's really disarming and charming. I don't think I necessarily purchased this for me, but I would love to smell this on somebody else. I think this is maybe not my scent profile, but I think this is just something I haven't smelled done this well for a long, long time. It really does make me think along the lines of, the classic kind of iris leather kind of fragrances almost, but with a bit of a green twist to them. So something along the lines of something like Dior Homme, but where it's taken in a different direction. It's that kind of style of fragrance, that kind of, really nice, gentle kind of feeling suede. Beautiful. I really like this fragrance. That's Sword by Antoine Lie for Czar. So the last 2 fragrances are actually by Nathalie Feisthauer, and she's formulated fragrances for brands such as État Libre d'Orange again, some for Hermès. So she formulated, I think, the Eau de Merveille line, some of it. And also she's produced fragrances for Amouage. So she formulated Amouage's On a Man. So this first one is called Antelope. And this fragrance really surprised me. So it really goes through a lot of transformation, this fragrance. So it opens up with kind of a very high quality feeling rose oil. It smells almost like a high quality bath oil or maybe a really expensive face cream, but obviously scented with rose. So it's one of those really very kind of deep, rich feeling rose oils. It's almost a little bit foody too. As this starts to dry down a little bit, it sort of transforms into something sweeter and fruitier feeling. It smells almost like a Turkish delight at points. Then as this dries down even further, you get another transformation. So it goes into an earthier fragrance. So I think it's the geranium that really transforms it into something greener and also slightly peppery, slightly earthy. And it also has a slightly medicinal feel to this fragrance as well. I guess there's some other herbs here that are really giving it a bit of a medicinal twang. On top of that, this slowly transforms into a suedey, almost leathery feel in the dry down, but along with that really kind of earthy feeling geranium, really enhancing the rose that's there already. I think if you love geranium, if you love suede, and if you like Moroccan rose oils, you will absolutely love this fragrance. For me, this is a little bit too green on the suede leather. Other than that, I really like it. I think it needs a little bit more sweetness in the dry down for me, but I think this is a really nicely made fragrance. So that's Antelope by Nathalie Feisthauer for Czar. So the final fragrance is again by Nathalie Feisthauer, and this one's called Gentle Fusion. So this is a sea breeze kind of fragrance. It's a citrusy, blue feeling fragrance. So this opens with citrus, particularly bergamot, and it also has this really fresh blue feel. I think if you've smelt, like blue shower gels, that's the kind of smell I'm talking about. But what I mean is it's lighter, it's brighter, it's better than a blue shower gel. I feel like I'm doing it an injustice describing it as a blue shower gel. As this dries down, the cardamom and the cedar really come out much more, and the warmth and the woodiness really start to shine. And they really add a different dimension to this fragrance, and they really elevate it from just a very simple kind of fresh feeling, like ocean fresh kind of smell. It's not overtly marine at all, this fragrance, but it has this kind of gentle freshness. Later on, this transforms into something slightly powdery, even a bit sweet, but it's still quite woody. And the final dry down has, again, that kind of almost trademark green leather that this fragrance company seem to use a lot in their fragrances. So what did I think of this one? Well, this kind of scent profile is an absolute nightmare for me normally, but I really didn't mind this one. I thought this was actually a really nicely balanced fragrance. It wasn't too marine. It wasn't something I wanted to scrub off my skin. I honestly can't get over to you how much I normally dislike this scent profile, and I didn't dislike this. I'd be happy to smell this on someone else. I wouldn't want to wear it myself, but on, a partner, I would love to smell this. I think the one caveat with this fragrance is that the scent profile does feel incredibly familiar. I'm not quite sure which of the fragrances that I've smelt makes me think of this one, but I think I'm someone who just lumps this whole kind of blue fragrance category into just one box because I'm not a particular fan of it. But I think this one just stands out to me because of that lack of ambroxan, that lack of isoe super. I think this one's a really good, gentle, not obnoxious, really something I'd love to cuddle up to basically on somebody else. I think this one is very inviting, very friendly, and just fresh, clean, woody, leathery. Just a really nice fragrance. I think I'd recommend this one to people who like citrusy leathers and musks, but who also want a little bit of freshness to their fragrances. So that's Nathalie Feisthauer's Gentle Fusion for Czar. So finally, my thoughts on Czar. My thoughts are that these are really great fragrances, and I'm really pleased I said yes to this brand. It's always a risk when you say yes to a brand that you really don't know very much about, and really just a quick read is not really covering your bases. It's still taking quite a punt. And I hate talking about things that I don't enjoy, but I really enjoyed these. Even though none of these were particularly my scent profile, I just thought they were really striking. And even the ones that were more familiar, like Gentle Fusion, I thought they were done really well. So I would really encourage you to check these out. But I think the thing that's going to prompt that is when they've got distributors in various different countries, when they've got a decent discovery set for you to purchase with atomizers. I think that's really what this brand needs to do to increase its recognition around the world. It needs to make it easier to sample. So thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, then please do press the like button, and please also consider subscribing if you haven't done already. And please let me know, are you interested in trying this brand? Which one of these fragrances appeals most to you? And I will see you in the next one. Bye.